That one sentence still echoes in my head. It wasn't even the words, it was the certainty behind them. Like she'd already decided who I was and where I belonged. I was flying home from Frankfurt to Chicago after a brutal 2-week work trip. I'd spent days in meetings, presentations, networking dinners, the whole corporate circus. So when it came time to book my return flight, I decided to treat myself for once. I paid for business class. A quiet window seat, decent food, a little space to breathe. I'm not rich. I just needed one flight where I didn't feel like a sardine in a flying metal tube. So there I was, noise-canceling headphones on, Kindle open, halfway through a mediocre mystery novel, when a woman tapped my shoulder. She had that polite but entitled smile that only appears in airport lounges. "Hi," she said. "Could you switch seats with me so I can sit with my husband and son?" Her tone suggested it wasn't really a question. I blinked. "I'm sorry?" She held up her boarding pass. 34B, economy. I actually laughed because I thought she was joking. You want me to trade my business seat for your economy seat?" She nodded, perfectly serious. "We just really want to sit together as a family. You can sit in my spot. It's an aisle seat." And then, because apparently the universe enjoys chaos, she added, "Your family, right?" That's when I realized she wasn't joking. I stared at her, confused. "Excuse me? I don't even know you." But she turned to the flight attendant and said, "He's with us." I swear my jaw hit the floor. The attendant, poor woman, looked between us like she'd just walked into a soap opera. "Ma'am, is this your husband?" she asked. "Of course not," I said quickly. "I'm traveling alone." The woman frowned, whispered something to her teenage son, and before I could react, the boy plopped himself right into the empty seat next to me, the one that's supposed to stay empty in Lufthansa business class. "No," I said firmly. "That seat isn't yours." The husband, who'd been quiet the whole time, muttered something under his breath. I caught the words, "It's just one damn seat." That did it. I could feel my pulse in my neck. "Sir," I said as evenly as I could, "I paid for this seat. Please go back to your assigned cabin." The flight attendant returned with reinforcements, a senior crew member with the no-nonsense tone of someone who's seen every kind of mid-air drama. She spoke to them in German for a moment, then turned back to English. "You must return to your seats in economy," she said. "Otherwise, we will need to deboard you." The silence that followed could have frozen the cabin. The mother glared at me like I'd just insulted her ancestors. The kid sulked back down the aisle. The father stayed because apparently his actual seat was next to mine and spent the next 8 hours muttering passive-aggressive comments loud enough for me to hear through my headphones. "Some people just don't care about others," he mumbled. "Guess selfishness is a virtue now." I said nothing. I didn't even make eye contact. You can't win with people who think politeness equals obedience. When we finally landed, he tapped my arm and said, "Hope it was worth it." I looked him dead in the eye. It was, and that should have been the end. Just another weird story you tell over drinks. The time a stranger tried to claim you as their family mid-flight. But of course, life loves a sequel, because a week later I met him again. Not in an airport. Not even by coincidence, but at a business mixer, and that's where the real turbulence began. When I walked into that hotel ballroom in downtown Chicago, the last thing I expected was déjà vu at 30,000 feet. It was one of those mid-tier corporate mixers, free wine that tasted like regret, people laughing too loudly about things they didn't care about, name tags that screamed networking opportunity. My company, a mid-sized logistics firm, was courting a new German partner for a supply chain project. I was exhausted but trying to look alive, half smiling through the usual small talk when I heard it. That voice, deep, nasal, deliberate. My body froze before my brain even caught up. I turned and there he was. The same man from the flight, the "it's just one damn seat" guy. Except now he wasn't a random passenger. He was wearing a crisp suit, glass in hand, laughing with my boss. It was like my spine turned to static. At first, I thought I must be hallucinating. Surely this wasn't him. But then he said something about Frankfurt in that exact self-satisfied tone. And I knew. My stomach dropped. I tried to slide behind a cheese platter, praying for invisibility. No such luck. "Olivia," my boss called out cheerfully. "Come meet Sebastian, one of the leads from the German team. You'll probably be working closely together." Of course. Of course I would. I turned, pasted on my best professional smile, and said, Nice to meet you. He squinted, head tilting slightly. I could see the recognition dawning in real time, the flicker of memory, confusion, disbelief. You, he said slowly. Small world, I replied, voice sugar-sweet but shaking inside. He laughed, a tight, polite sound, all teeth and tension. Yes, very small. We shook hands. His grip was firm, deliberate, dominant, like he wanted to remind me who he thought should have been in control that day on the plane. I told myself to let it go. We were at work. I was not about to turn a networking event into round 2 of Who Deserves the Window Seat, but he couldn't resist. Later, during drinks, he brought it up, casually, like he was telling a cute vacation story. Funny thing, he said to the group. I ran into Olivia here on my flight back from Frankfurt. Refused to switch seats so I could sit with my wife and son. Such a spirited woman, laughter rippled through the table. Someone said, "Oof, long flight, huh?" I smiled tightly. Yeah, I said. Amazing how some people think a $2,000 seat can be guilt-tripped out of you for free. The laughter stopped. Just like that, his smile faltered. The conversation moved on, but the air between us? It changed, heavy, unfinished. 2 days later, I found out we were assigned to the same breakout group for a joint workshop. Of course we were. The first session was fine, until it wasn't. Every idea I offered, he contradicted. Every slide I presented, he interrupted. Well, in Germany, we prefer efficiency, he'd say, cutting me off. Or, that might work in theory, but you should consider real-world logistics. I clenched my jaw, counted to 10, reminded myself this was not Lufthansa and he could not take my space here. But after the 5th interruption, something inside me snapped. Sebastian, I said evenly, do you have a problem with me? The room went silent. He looked at me for a long second, then said, No, I just don't like when people act like they're better than others. Better than others? I repeated. Because I didn't want to be gaslit into giving up a seat I paid for. He stood up. You lied to the crew. Said you weren't with us. That was low. My mouth fell open. Because I wasn't with you. You're strangers. You made that up. He leaned forward, voice trembling now. You humiliated my family. My son cried. Do you think that's nothing? Everyone stared. My project manager finally tried to defuse it. All right, folks, let's keep the airline drama in the skies, huh? But the damage was done. Afterward, my boss pulled me aside. What the hell was that? I explained everything. The flight, the lies, the seat, the muttering. He sighed. Jesus, these guys take family very seriously. Yeah. Apparently even other people's. For the rest of the week, Sebastian wouldn't stop giving me these loaded looks across the office, like I'd committed some moral crime only he could judge. And just when I thought it was finally over, I got an email from him. Future collaboration opportunities. Olivia, despite our past misunderstandings, I believe we can still work together professionally. Let's put it behind us. I stared at it for a long time. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, ready to type something sharp. But I didn't. I just closed the laptop. Because I had no idea that past misunderstandings were about to follow me home. In the most personal, impossible way imaginable. And that's where the next chapter of this nightmare begins. He's German, works in logistics. It was a Sunday. A regular, boring, suburban Sunday. The kind filled with burnt casseroles, recycled gossip, and the faint smell of Chardonnay that's been open since last week. I'd driven out to Evanston for dinner at my mom's house. She calls them family evenings, but they're really just soft interrogations disguised as meals. How's work? Are you seeing anyone? You should wear more color. That kind of thing. I was halfway through pretending to enjoy a broccoli casserole when my younger sister breezed in. All sunshine and drama, Maya, 28. Yoga teacher, free spirit, self-proclaimed empath, professional collector of red flags. She dropped her tote bag by the door, kissed Mom on the cheek and said, "Sorry I'm late." I had to drop someone at the airport. Mom, ever the nosy hostess, asked, "Oh? Who's someone?" Maya smiled, all coy and glowy. "Just a guy I've been seeing. He's German, works in logistics, really smart. Bit serious, but I think you'll like him." I froze. No. My fork hovered mid-air. "What's his name?" I asked, voice sharper than I meant. "Sebastian," she said casually, like the word didn't detonate the dinner table. I choked on a piece of bread. "Sebastian what?" She blinked. "Why? Does he happen to, I don't know, travel a lot for work? Maybe had a weird flight back from Frankfurt a few months ago?" Her eyes narrowed. "Yeah, he mentioned something about that. Said he sat next to this really rude woman who refused to switch seats so he could sit with his wife and kid." My mom frowned. "Oh dear," I laughed, too loud, too hard. "Yeah, that rude woman was me." Silence. Thick, horrified silence. Maya's smile dropped. "What?" I leaned back, almost dizzy from disbelief. "Your boyfriend is that guy. The one who tried to force me to trade my business seat for his economy wife and teenage son. The one who told the flight attendant I was part of their family." Her face twisted. "That's not what he told me." "Of course it's not. He said you made a scene." I scoffed. "Right, because standing up for myself is apparently a scene." Maya crossed her arms. "You didn't even try to compromise?" "Compromise?" I stared at her. "He lied to airline staff, manipulated me, and spent 8 hours whispering insults like a deranged monk." "That's not compromise, Maya, that's harassment," she shrugged. "He just wanted to be with his family." "Then maybe," I snapped, "he should have booked seats together like a normal adult." Mom sighed, rubbing her temples. "Can we please not turn dinner into another courtroom scene?" But it was too late. Maya pushed her chair back, muttered something about toxic energy, and stormed out before dessert. I thought that was the end of it. Spoiler, it wasn't. A week later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Maya, a screenshot. A long, rambling message from Sebastian. He accused me of sabotaging his professional reputation, of humiliating him in front of his colleagues, of harboring deep hostility toward strong paternal figures. I texted her back immediately. "Tell your German dad boyfriend to keep my name out of his Teutonic mouth." No response. 3 weeks passed. I figured things had finally cooled down until Mom called, suspiciously cheerful. "Hey, sweetie," she said, all sing-song. "We're doing brunch next Sunday. Maya's coming, and Sebastian will be there too." I nearly dropped my coffee. "You're joking!" "He was very apologetic when I spoke to him," she said. "Maybe give him a chance?" "Did he bring strudel?" "Is that what turned you?" She sighed. "Please don't be weird, Olivia. So yeah, I went. Because I'm a sucker. I brought the driest bottle of champagne I could find, the kind that tastes like regret and sharp decisions." We were halfway through Eggs Benedict when he leaned back, napkin folded perfectly on his lap, and said, "You know, Olivia, I've been reflecting. Perhaps we both acted emotionally that day." I didn't answer. He continued, "Cultural expectations can differ. In Germany, family comes first. We assumed you'd understand." I finally looked at him. "In America, we don't hijack people's seats and gaslight strangers," Maya sighed. "Jesus, can we not do this at the table?" "You brought him to the table," I said. "Don't be surprised when the menu has beef." Sebastian smiled, calm and calculated. "It's fine," he said softly. "She'll come around eventually." That word, eventually, made my skin crawl. Later that night, my phone buzzed again. A text from him, "Olivia, I'd like us to start over. As future family, we should find peace. For Maya's sake, let me buy you dinner. I'll make a reservation at Bavette's." I stared at it for a long, slow minute. Then I typed back, "You can buy me dinner when you refund my business class seat." He hasn't replied since. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Because men like Sebastian never disappear, they just rebook. Birthdays used to be my safe zone. A few close friends, take out sushi, maybe a dumb movie. No big speeches, no family drama, no strangers trying to psychoanalyze my life. This year, I'd planned to keep it extra small. Just me, my friend Dylan, and a carrot cake that cost more than my car insurance. Maya texted that morning, "Hey, I have a surprise for you. You're going to love it." My stomach dropped. There's only one kind of surprise Maya ever brings. The kind with an accent, a moral lecture, and a pressed linen shirt. So I replied, "If your surprise is 6 feet tall and says, 'In Germany, we do things differently,' don't bother." She sent back a single emoji. I should have canceled right then. By 7 p.m., my apartment smelled like candles and sugar. Dylan was pouring champagne when the doorbell rang. And there he was, Sebastian, holding a bouquet of white tulips like he'd just stepped out of a Calvin Klein ad for gaslighting. Maya beamed behind him. Surprise, I froze. You didn't. She did. He smiled, calm, confident, rehearsed. Happy birthday, Olivia. I hope you don't mind. Maya thought it would be good for us to start fresh. Dylan mouthed what the hell behind them. I wanted to slam the door. But Mom had already arrived, of course, and she chirped, "Oh, wonderful! Everyone's here." Everyone was not supposed to be here. We sat. The candles flickered. The carrot cake wilted under tension. Sebastian naturally took control of the table. He told stories about cultural misunderstandings, about how travel teaches patience, about the day he met Maya and realized she was unlike any woman he'd known. Mom ate it up. Dylan poured another drink. Then he turned to me, that polite corporate smile still plastered on. "You know, Olivia, I owe you an apology. That flight was stressful for everyone." "I didn't say anything," he continued. "I realize now that we both could have handled things differently. You were tired, I was emotional. You were deceitful," I cut in. He blinked. "Excuse me?" "You lied to the flight attendant," I said. "You told her I was part of your family." He gave a soft, patronizing laugh. "Ah, yes, the semantics of it. I only meant we're all part of one big family when we travel, no?" "Sure," I said. "Except one of us tried to guilt-trip the other out of a $1,000 seat." The table went dead quiet. Maya hissed. "Liv, please." "No, it's fine," he said, leaning forward like some benevolent therapist. "I understand." "She's still upset." "That's okay." That tone, condescending, calculated, calm, was exactly what made my blood boil. Mom tried to diffuse it. "Sebastian, why don't you tell us about your work in logistics?" He smiled at her. "Of course. It's fascinating, actually." And just like that, he rewrote the whole room. He charmed them. One story after another, all threaded with little compliments. How resilient Maya was. How family-oriented Mom seemed. How strong-willed I must be to navigate life independently. Every word was a performance. Every glance, a power move. By dessert, even Dylan was looking at me like, "Are you sure this guy's that bad?" Then he raised his glass. "To Olivia," he said warmly, "for teaching us that boundaries are just another way to understand each other." Mom clinked. Maya smiled, and I sat there stunned. Because in 2 hours, he had turned my own birthday into his redemption arc. After everyone left, Dylan stayed behind to help clean up. He said quietly, "You know, he's good. Like, really good. The way he talks, it's disarming." I laughed, dry and tired. That's what he counts on. Later, when I went to take out the trash, I saw it. An envelope taped to my door. My name in neat handwriting inside a note. "No hard feelings. You'll see eventually that we're all on the same team. S." I crumpled it up, tossed it in the bin, and whispered to the empty hallway. "I'm not on your team." But deep down, I knew he wasn't done, because men like Sebastian never leave quietly. They stage exits, and when they return, they bring an audience. 2 weeks passed. No texts, no calls. No accidental brunch invites. For the first time in months, I thought maybe, just maybe, Sebastian had finally gotten bored. Then Dylan texted me a link at 7:42 a.m. You might want to see this." I clicked. Instagram. A photo of Sebastian and Maya on a hiking trail, all golden sunlight and coordinated athleisure. The caption read, "Forgiveness is freedom. Some people hold on to anger because it gives them purpose. I choose peace." And then the kicker. "To anyone who's ever been unfairly attacked, stay graceful. The truth always reveals itself. Healing boundaries. Family first." My jaw actually dropped. The comments were already flooding in. Hundreds of heart emojis and self-help sermons from strangers. Such maturity. You're an inspiration. I wish I had your patience with toxic people. Toxic people. He meant me, and the worst part? He didn't have to say my name. Everyone in Maya's little circle already knew who I was. The bitter older sister, the control freak, the unmarried corporate one with a cat and opinions. Within hours, my DMs turned into a circus. Half were from people defending me, half from people demanding I stop ruining Maya's happiness. One woman even wrote, "You should apologize to him publicly if you have any decency." I stared at the screen, shaking. My phone buzzed again. "Mom." "Liv," she said softly. "I saw the post. Maybe just let it go?" "Let it go?" I snapped. "He's literally rewriting history." "He didn't name you," she said carefully. "And people will get bored soon." "Mom, he called me toxic, indirectly." I laughed bitterly. "Oh, great. Indirect toxicity? My favorite kind." That night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled through the comments again, one by one. Every compliment he got felt like a bruise forming somewhere under my ribs. Then I saw it, buried under the sea of positivity. A single comment from someone named Ahana K. Berlin. "Funny, I remember you telling your wife to pretend to cry on that flight so the American woman would move." What a gentleman. My heart stopped. Someone new. I clicked her profile, private, but the bio read, "Flight crew." Frankfurt, Chicago. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then I sent her a DM. "Hi, were you on LH431 in April? The flight to O'Hare?" She replied within minutes. "Yes, I remember you. Seat 4A, right? He caused chaos for half the cabin. I had to file a report. I almost cried. Finally, proof." She sent a screenshot, her incident log from that day. His name, his seat number, the description. Male passenger attempted to coerce another traveler into changing seats under false pretenses. Raised voice. Lied about relationship status. There it was. In black and white, I stared at it for a long time, my heart pounding. Then I posted it. Not the whole document, just a blurred screenshot with the caption, "Some people like to perform healing. Others prefer receipts." Within an hour, my notifications exploded. Maya called, furious. "How could you do that? You're humiliating him." "Humiliating him," I said. "He's been publicly subtweeting me for a week." "He's trying to move on," she shouted. "No, he's trying to erase me." Silence. Then she said coldly, "You've always hated when people see me happy." And that, right there, hurt more than anything. Because it wasn't true. I'd spent my whole life defending her, covering for her, paying her rent once, driving her home from every disaster she mistook for romance. But this time, she'd chosen him. The next morning, I woke up to an email from HR. Someone had filed an anonymous complaint at work, accusing me of cyberbullying in public, defamation, guess who works in corporate? Communications at a multinational logistics company? Yeah, Sebastian. It was petty, vindictive, and textbook manipulative. But he'd underestimated one thing: paper trails. I forwarded HR the incident log from Lufthansa, attached the screenshots of his posts, added a polite note, "Happy to discuss this further with legal if needed." By noon, the complaint was dropped. That evening, Dylan came over with takeout. "So," he said, "what's the plan now? Expose him? Go full scorched earth?" I looked at my phone. The post was still up, still collecting likes from people who thought he was some wounded saint. "No," I said finally. "I'm not giving him another act. Then what are you gonna do?" I smiled. "Tell the story myself," he grinned. "You mean..." "Yeah," I said. "Podcast, TikTok, whatever it takes." My version. My voice. Because the truth doesn't shout. It waits, and then it documents. It started small, like all viral things do. A friend reposted my TikTok clip, just me, sitting on the couch, telling the story. No filters, no hashtags, no drama voice. Just, "Hi, I'm Olivia. And this is what really happened on that flight. By the next morning, 500,000 views. By the end of the week, 3 million. The comments were fire. I knew that guy's post felt manipulative. Classic narcissist playbook. Maya girl, run. Someone dug up his company profile. Someone else found other women he'd dated, each one with eerily similar stories, lying about his marital status, guilt-tripping, rewriting events so he always came out the hero. The internet doesn't forgive, but it does detect patterns. Then journalists started DMing me. Would you be open to an interview? Could we fact-check the airline report? I said no. I didn't need the spotlight, just the silence that comes after truth lands. Maya didn't speak to me for days. Then one night, my phone buzzed. A voicemail. Her voice small and flat. I listened to your podcast. I didn't want to believe it, but I asked him about the Lufthansa report. He said it was fabricated. Then he screamed at me for even asking. I packed my things. There was a pause, a shaky inhale. You were right, Liv. I'm sorry. I sat on the floor of my kitchen and cried. Not because I'd won, but because I'd finally lost the part of me that still needed to. The next week, Sebastian went live on Instagram. The caption read, "Clearing the air." I didn't watch it at first, but curiosity is a disease, and by midnight I clicked. He sat in his minimalist apartment, lighting perfect, voice low and remorseful. I never meant to hurt anyone, he said. Social media has twisted a small misunderstanding into a witch hunt. I wish Olivia the best, truly. I just hope people can see that I, too, am human. Thousands of hearts floated up the screen. Then the chat started shifting. Comments flooded in. What about the Lufthansa report? Why did you file an HR complaint against her? Your misunderstanding involved your wife pretending to cry. He froze. Smiled weakly. Tried to keep talking. But it was too late. The live spiraled. People clipped it, memed it, dissected every phrase. Within 24 hours, his company issued a statement, suspending all communications-related personnel pending review. He deleted his accounts a day later, and just like that, silence. No dramatic ending. No cinematic showdown, just quiet. A month passed. Autumn slipped in like a breath. I took time off work. I stopped checking comments. I started running again, slow and steady, headphones full of nothing but white noise. Maya moved in with a friend, started therapy, stopped wearing that anxious smile she always used to wear around him. One night we sat on my balcony, 2 sisters, 1 bottle of wine between us, and she said, "You know what's funny? He used to talk about flying all the time. Said it was freedom," I laughed. "For some people, it's just an escape route." She smiled sadly. "Do you think people like him ever change?" I thought about it for a moment. The flight, the lies, the flowers, the posturing, the quiet menace disguised as charm. "No," I said finally. "They just find new airports." We clinked glasses. Below us, the city hummed. Alive, indifferent, infinite. And for the first time in months, I felt the air move clean through me. No anger, no tension, just space. Because closure doesn't come from making them see the truth. It comes from finally, not caring if they do. 2 months later, I was at O'Hare again. Different flight, different story. As I walked down the jet bridge, a flight attendant smiled and said, "Excuse me, are you Olivia from TikTok?" I laughed. "Yeah, that's me," she grinned. We all saw it. "That was legendary." "Thanks," I said. "This time I'm hoping for a quiet trip," she winked. No Germans and logistics on board tonight. We both laughed. When the plane lifted off, I looked out the window. Clouds swallowing the city, lights shrinking to glitter. And somewhere between ascent and stillness, I realized, sometimes the best revenge is just getting home safely.